My brain is conflicted. I'm sorry, but when Mats Zuccarello scored the overtime goal in this game against the Vancouver Canucks, where the Canucks had the lead, and they blew it. In this game, I screamed at the top of my lungs, yes! When the Wild won. And it's because I needed Kaprizov assists, and I needed Filip Gustavsson to get the win. You do not know how stressful it was to watch this game and be like, man, Vancouver's gonna win. Vancouver has the lead. They've got 2 goals on like 10 shots. Filip Gustavsson, what are you doing? Please, Minnesota. They're shooting the lights out on Kevin Lankinen, and he's making all the saves. So you can say it is a bad Canucks fan thing to say about this game. I was cheering for Minnesota. I wanted them to get the points. I wanted Kaprizov to go off. I needed Boldy to go off. They got points, so I'm happy with that. And I needed Phil Gustafsson to have the win because in multiple of my teams, I have all 3 of those guys. But at the same time, I am a Vancouver Canucks fan, and I call it like I see it. In this game, I guess folks are going to talk about the Canucks losing this game and not really looking like the better team through any chunk of this game. Minnesota just kind of kept on going with shot opportunities and possession, and Lankinen was making save after save after save. I was trying to think, like, are the Vancouver Canucks really going to do Calgary a solid here? Are they going to win against Minnesota in regulation? But nah, Vancouver couldn't do that. You know they couldn't. They couldn't hold on to it after having all this extended pressure and zone time the opposite way. And sure, they had some good moments in the game. Their own power play showing up and scoring some goals. Their own penalty kill, shutting out the Minnesota power play opportunities. That was great. Special teams were in Vancouver's favor in this one. But there is one main aspect that I think of this game that folks are going to be talking about in the Vancouver market. And it's not anything to do with the score or the goals, Aatu Ratu's breakaway attempt, Ty Mueller's debut, or Kevin Lankinen getting dangled the pants off of him by Mats Zuccarello in OT. The biggest angle of this game was Derek Forbort and Yakov Trenin, where Trenin, who has been a pretty big crap disturber, not just in this game, but for a good chunk of the season for the Minnesota Wild. He's got some points, he's got some goals, but for the most part, I'd been seeing a lot of Wild fans go out there and talk about Trenin in a really interesting way. Folks saying, yeah, this guy loves to disturb the crap, or, oh, this guy has been too much the whole season. It's been pretty prevalent both ways, I think. But Yakov Trenin, who had been a pretty big physical force in this particular game against the Vancouver Canucks, he wrapped up his contest, and I say his contest and not the contest because he did get ejected from the game. He wrapped up his contest with 6 minutes time on ice and 5 hits. 6 minutes, bro. 6 minutes, Slim Shady, you're on. This guy had a hit a minute. That's like Kiefer Sherwood on crack, but still, he only played 6 minutes, and in those 6 minutes, he ended up hitting Quinn Hughes in the third period in a very hard way. I think the hit was clean itself, but it's just one of those hits that you don't want to see. Quinn Hughes made a play in the Wild zone. He threw the puck over to facilitate the play, and then after he got rid of the puck, maybe like 2 seconds after, he got hit into the boards by Yakov Trenin. Derek Forbort did not like that. And so, just a few minutes later, Forbort and Trenin end up dropping the gloves. Trenin kind of goes down a little bit. He kind of falls. He's on one leg and his hand kind of grazes the ice because he's trying to get back up. All this going on with Forbort wailing on him. But Trenin then gets back up. Forbort gets knocked down to the ice himself. His helmet kind of comes off loose a little bit. And as he falls to the ice, the back of his head, with the helmet loosely on, ends up hitting the ice, and I was like, oh crap, that looks pretty bad. But he was fine, it seemed like, from that. There was enough helmet support on the back of his head to keep him safe, but while he is lying down, and while the referees are in the middle of it, there's a referee on the back of Trenin, there's a referee in between Trenin and Forbort. While the referees are in there, while Forbort is down, Trenin clocks Derek Forbort right in what looked like the eye, the forehead area, just an uncalled for, hit him while he's down, dirty punch to the face. And it was a cheap shot. Derek Forbort wasn't coming up easy after that. He was really caught off guard with it. He was hurt. And you can see him lying down on the ice with his hand on his face for an extended amount of time afterwards. And the referees, bro, the referees were right there. They couldn't stop Trenin from hitting the guy while he was down. Eventually, Trenin gets 3 penalties. He gets fighting against Derek Forbort. He gets unsportsmanlike conduct against Derek Forbort, and he gets the aggressor penalty too. He ends up getting forced to leave the game, and whilst he is in the process of doing that, the Vancouver bench starts yelling at Trenin too, and Trenin, with the 2 referees trying to escort him out, he then spins around and almost tries to go at the Canucks guys again. Yakov Trenin, a total goof in this situation. Like, they were saying on the Vancouver broadcast, oh, there could be some sort of thing if he ends up being aggressive towards the referee or whatever. Just an ugly situation all around. And the Vancouver Canucks, ultimately, there was no penalty, like there was no power play after. It was just 5-on-5 for some reason, but the Canucks did not use this moment in the third period to allow them to win this game. They were up 2-0, but Brock Faber scored early in the third, and then Marcus Foligno scored later in the third, and then Zuccarello scored in overtime. We were gonna do some sort of a commentary on, oh, Vancouver helped out Calgary with a potential win over the Minnesota Wild, but nah, the Wild had to come back and they had to win after being down 2-0 at the start of the third period. We can talk about the Canucks goals too. Marcus Pettersson, with a really nice wrister on the rush, drives in after receiving the pass from Linus Karlsson entering the zone, snipes it on Filip Gustavsson, like Elias Pettersson it looks like. Second goal of the game, 2-0 Vancouver, it's Jake DeBrusk on the power play. Quinn Hughes over to Niels Hoglander, he takes a shot and it's tipped in front by Jake DeBrusk. Quinn Hughes pulling himself within 1 point of Alex Edler for the Vancouver Canucks franchise record for most points by a defenseman. He's 1 away, folks, and he's really on pace to doing it in a significantly fewer amount of games played than Alex Edler did. But in the third period especially, Vancouver totally let their true colors show. They were not doing all too well in keeping the puck away. Minnesota, I will say, like, the Wild didn't have too many amazing chances in the first 2 periods. Like, it was reasonably tight, and I think the Canucks were very good defensively in the first 2 periods. Canucks didn't have many shot attempts or shots on goal themselves, but in the third, I mean, after Brock Faber scored early on in the period, Minnesota just kept on going and going and going and going and going and going. And the amount of high danger opportunities that Kevin Lankinen had to steer away, it was insane. I was like, yeah, I should have dropped Gustafsson. Take on Lankinen. Okay, I can't do that. Gustafsson has been a monster this whole season, but Lankinen was having a game. And then he gets beat by a really nice centering pass, and it's Marco Foligno out in front. 2-2 hockey game. And then in overtime, my boy Dalla Bill Kirill Kaprizov with a beautiful pass out in front to Mats Zuccarello, who's lurking. He's by himself, he's all alone, and he ends up beating Kevin Lankinen with the left. Beautiful move to shove it in there, and the game is won 3-2 in OT. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about this Vancouver and Minnesota game, as well as the Yakov, Trenin, and Derek Forbort stuff which went on. What are your thoughts on the way the game went? What are your thoughts on Quinn Hughes and the Alex Edler point record for D-men? What are your thoughts on Atiratu? We did mention his breakaway chance, which had an opportunity to give the Canucks the lead. And no, not give the Canucks the lead, extend the lead in the third period, but it did not end up going through. It was a beautiful save by Gustafsson. One of the only saves that he made in this game. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Vancouver Canucks game. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.